Hey guys, we are here at the home of Ruffian Cars, the new home we'll call it. If you don't know this guy, well, you haven't watched enough of our videos. This is Chris Ashton, and this has been such a long time coming.
I know.
I mean, you know me well enough to see how excited I am
yeah.
that we finally get to dig in on this.
Yeah, I'm excited too because I've only driven it twice with street tires on it, which made a world of difference.
Yeah.
So, bit of background, we had race tires on it, like legit race car slicks, and they're awful, dangerous on the street.
Yeah.
They're so bad that I thought maybe there was something wrong with the car. When we got street tires on it, I drove it a couple of times and it's amazing.
When you texted me recently and said it's like the Galaxy turned up to 11.
Yeah, same kind of setup, full tube chassis, full race car, everything, but it's almost 1,000 pounds lighter and it's 100 more horsepower.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Bonkers.
Yeah. From a high level, what we have is a 1935 Plymouth two-door. It's like a PJ Coupe. So this is original paint, the original steel body. It was in good condition. All this trim is original, but it's sitting on a real race car chassis. It's a GT-1 full tube chassis built by Riggins Engineering circa 2004. Dave McIvern owned it, won 3 championships with it, over 30 races. Plymouth body on top of race car chassis with a built stroker Viper V10 engine that makes 800 horsepower. So that's kind of high level what the mix is. So what the cool thing is, when it was a GT1 race car, it had a NASCAR engine in it, making 800 horsepower. But that's on race fuel. So now we're doing it with displacement. It's a 9-liter Viper engine, making the same output now, same horsepower, but on 93 pump gas.
Just crazy, dude. I remember at the old shop seeing the crate engine sitting
Viper
there,
sitting on a shelf. Yeah.
It's so that only you that would like I picture you going like this one day, standing in your shop going, got an idea.
It's kind of what happened.
Yeah.
We'll back up a little bit. We bought the Viper engine many years ago for use in the CUDA. We wound up not running the V10 in the CUDA. So the Viper engine just got shelved, which kind of killed me because I've had 2 Vipers. I loved them. They were awesome cars. I wish I still had the ACR. Love the engine. It's so cool and unique in sort of the American muscle world. I think it's kind of overlooked for what it is. It's such a cool engine, so it hurt me to see it up on the shelf, and I kept thinking about what to do with it. The problem with a CUDA or a muscle car is that the engine is so long. You're used to a V8, there's 4 cylinders stacked, in a row, so you add a 5th and you don't really have room. And we like to have the engine sit back, right? And that's a huge problem with a V10. And the cool thing about a lot of these old cars is that they used to have like inline 6s, or some of them had straight 8s. So there's so much hood. So I found this 35 Plymouth locally, just on OfferUp, I think. And so Josh went over there with tape measure in hand, having taken these measurements with the Viper engine, and the whole thing just was like, that's the reason we bought this car, was for the engine. So then we bought car, we had engine, we needed a chassis for this car. I was like, well, should it be like a street chassis? Should it be a race chassis? And everyone was like, we should do the race chassis like the Galaxy.
Yeah.
But at the time, it was really hard to get parts, after the pandemic and stuff. I was like, what if we bought a race car? And as soon as I said that, I realized I had a race car. And I bought that car to use as track days, just like a weekend track day car. And then I started the shop. I didn't have time, and it's a lot of money. It's race fuel, it's a trailer, it's spare wheels and tires and all kinds of stuff. It just never happened. So the car had flat tires, sat on the rack, for years. And then we pulled it off the rack and we started tape measure, looking at wheelbase and track width and everything, and kind of comparing it to the Plymouth. And the more we looked at it, the more we're like, this is really dumb, but I think it's all gonna work. We started disassembling the car and taking it apart, building it under the Plymouth, basically.
Yeah.
So for the race car, we cut apart the front clip and the rear clip. We cut apart the chassis, cut it in half, basically, and then stretched it. If I remember right, it's like 7 inches longer wheelbase. So we cut it and spread it out on the table. But the track width is exactly the same of the race car.
It is.
And the suspension pickup points are like untouched. So we tried to keep as much of the race car intact as possible. Right. And then the same on the Plymouth, like this emblem and the patina and stuff, keep as much of the Plymouth as possible. There's all that history. The paint is so old, right, as original paint. This is the same length of the hood. You know, we didn't change proportions of it or anything. Keep all that stuff and then keep as much of the race car stuff as possible and sort of pay respect to both cars and be able to show people that history.
This is also original to the car?
So it's original to when we got the car. It wouldn't have been a factory option, but it had been there for decades because the whole thing was a 6-volt system. It had a 6-volt light bulb in it. So it's been there forever. When we got the cage and everything in there, it still fit back in there. Yeah. So we did convert it. So I guess the biggest problem for us was going to be the fenders, which is kind of the obvious talking point on the car, the big thing. We had these massive wheels and tires. In fact, these are the original wheels off the race car. That's the size rubber that they were running on the race car. So this is what we built the fenders around. And so in fact, for the first couple shows that we drove around to on the street, we were running those Goodyear race tires on there. So, and they fit, you can go lock to lock, you can go full compression and everything. These fenders were built around those tires.
But treacherous to drive those tires on the street because you could never get enough heat in them, right?
Right, they never work. They never turn on, right? Because even on a race car, cold tires were still in tire warmers. We're not even in 150-degree tire warmers. We're just,
cold tires, let's go.
Yeah, ambient. It was really scary.
Yeah.
Originally, we thought we would build this thing with just exposed wheels and tires. And I think that's cool and it's hot rod, but it also felt like we were kind of going down the same path as everybody else. So how are we going to make this different, right? And it was really Josh. He really likes the historic stuff, the classic stuff. And this car had full fenders on the car. Yeah. And so for him to just be like, we're not going to use those and just chuck them.
He couldn't do it.
It really bothered him. I remember looking at like a picture of like an LMP car or something, one of the prototypes that have the real swoopy front ends with a lot of fender pushed way out. And so I sent that to Andreas, who's our concept artist, and I was like, dude, what if we did some really radical fenders like these and cover the wheels and tires, some big fenders. And so first concept he did, just rough pencil drawings, and I was like, yep. And I showed it to Josh and he got really, really happy.
Oh, that's so cool, man.
So I honestly have to credit Josh with the reason this car has fenders, because the easy way would have been to not do it. And then I built the fenders with steel rod, but I was like, the size of the fenders are gigantic, and to do it with steel rod and then do steel and then body work it and paint it, they were going to be very, very heavy.
Yeah.
And sort of in the mindset of like, it's on a race car chassis, it should be on the lighter end of the scale. I mean, it's a steel body, it's a full cage, like it's never going to be carbon fiber monocoque light. By this time, we had hired Tim and Will, who have a lot of carbon experience. So then we decided to take on doing the fenders and the rear diffuser and stuff in carbon. So you see these carbon bits sprinkled throughout the car, and that's those guys joining Ruffian and us being able to do it in-house. But I also feel like when we were gonna have steel fenders, how would you paint them? What's cool is that the detail in the carbon, in my eyes, plays with the detail in the patina. And it's one of the reasons that the two work together really well, which was surprising for us and was never really part of the grand plan.
Well, when you step back,
it's so
wide, dude.
Yeah,
I mean, it would.
The width is 11 inches wider than Plymouth was originally.
That's so cool.
So obviously, we talked about this trim is original. The one thing we did have to do, the Plymouth is quite a tall car, and the grille went below the front bumper and all the way down. So we had to shorten the grille 4 inches. That also meant that we had to shorten this trim, but fortunately the old car original trim is stainless. It's not like pot metal or whatever. So we were able to TIG weld it back together and shorten it. But then the grille also had to be shortened, and I have the grille sitting up on the wall there, and it's made of sheet metal, and it's very, very rusty, and it had started to come apart.
That's the original grille?
That's the original grille off the Plymouth, yeah. So you can see how kind of rough it was. We just decided to basically redesign it, keep the same look and design as that. In fact, it's so close that this original emblem bolts on in exactly the same place and in the same way. These pieces are aluminum, and then the vertical pieces are carbon.
A detail in these fins here that a lot of people are gonna miss is the blue that mixes in with it. It's only on one side.
There's an old Bugatti that's done like that. It's a very artistic, very cool little touch. When we did these, I was like, I'm gonna do the Bugatti thing. One of the big problems, challenges on the design side was the headlights. These originally had these massive headlights that went here in this space. We did concepts where we built the headlights into the front fenders, like the LMP cars, which I thought might be cool. But it was almost like distracting. Like the fenders were such a cool shape. No matter what we did, they draw your attention. So I just decided to try to hide them effectively in the grille. These are DOT legal Morimoto headlights that are made to retrofit into whatever. So we just built a carbon fiber housing and got those set in there, and they work really good. Just a fun little aside, we did have to match the blue, the firewall, the full roll cage. The underside of the whole chassis is painted, the tubing in the trunk is painted, it all had to be painted a color. We got the biggest sort of swath of blue that we had, and we color matched to that. And that's what this cage tubing is here. And then this front piece is carbon that we had to make custom to bolt the fenders to. This is the only carbon bits that are painted blue. One of Andreas's touches was this cage tubing comes down and bends down, and the front suspension is bolted to it. He continued that shape with these little sort of fangs.
Love that.
It's one of my favorite pieces of it.
Me too. I did not know this was carbon. I thought you guys built this in metal.
I built it in metal first, one side, and then the advantage of the carbon stuff, 3D scan it, then you can mirror it and 3D print it, pull molds off of those. And then that way it's mirrored left to right. The fenders are exact mirrors left to right, and we don't have to try to take all these crazy measurements and stuff.
Sure.
And it's actually accurate. So the tough thing is that the fenders are super accurate, the body's not, you know.
Right.
It's had a long history, and who knows how accurate they were from the factory back in the day. So
yeah.
The original wheels were CCWs on the race car. These are also CCWs. We were able to get them to make us a custom set of 18s and 19s in the same style, but these are the sort of modern version of the CCW. There's a little bit of difference between the old style and the new style. We're running 335s in the front, 345s in the back on street rubber. So yeah, these are the rears. They're the 19s by 13s, I think. But you can see how deep dish it is.
Love that.
So the race tire is 14 inches wide, the race wheel. So there's more inboard than what we have here. 345s is, for the most part, the widest tires we can get. These are the Toyo's R888Rs.
I hope everybody caught that. A 335 front, 345 rear.
And we could have fit 345s in the front as well, but on the street it gives us a little more turning angle. So
yeah.
What's cool is that this hub and the lug studs and even the lugs are the ones off of the race car. Untouched, they're not refinished or anything. Same for this brake caliper here. You can see the lettering coming off of the AP Racing brake caliper. These are monstrous, very, very wide NASCAR brake calipers. We had street pads made to fit in the race calipers. So even though they're full race car calipers, the rotors, the hats, it's all 2-inch bearings, like it's all heavy duty race car stuff, 5/8-inch lug studs, street pads in there so that they don't squeal. We don't have to get them up to temp. They're safe for use.
But you also didn't go in and go, oh, let's clean it up and make it look super pretty and not look like it came from the race car.
Yeah, the stuff that we built, like new fenders, we want them to be really nice and polished and everything. But the stuff that's from the race car, we want to show that history. I loved all the scratches and dings and, you know, on the rear axle housing and stuff is missing a bunch of paint and everything. And it's just like, I love that those scratches were earned in competition. So one of the things we had to worry about was the way that these hood pieces and everything went together. The car was meant to do 35 miles an hour, right? Now we're gonna be, you know, it needs to stay on the car at 150, right? So we have to sort of figure and rework how all this stuff attaches. That's a Gen 4 Viper engine. Prefix builds it. They call it the 9.0X for the Extreme. Makes a little over 800 horsepower and like 750-ish foot-pounds.
What does the car weigh?
3,100 and change with a full cage in the car. If you look up front, we have these twin throttle bodies. That's the air filter right behind the radiator. Talk about ram air. It's just, all the air is just coming straight in. That's a 3D printed air box. We didn't have room for a radiator in the front you know, that's pushed right up to the grill. We wanted to maintain all the sort of electronics and stuff from Mopar. It's a Mopar ECU in the car. So then just a lot of it's just packaging. The floors are raised up in the car. They always had external fenders, right? So the body is narrower than the track width. So you're sitting really close to the other person in the car, and the pedal box is really squished. So we had to actually build a step up, a bump up for the pedals. So your feet go up higher than the floor of the car, so that we could get above the transmission tunnel and have enough room for a throttle. But that also meant that the steering column wants to come out right where the headers are, and we couldn't do that. So we've got a drop box in there. It drops the steering 8 inches, and then it comes out here, and we were able to fit under the headers.
Yeah.
We took the Viper valve covers. The Viper would have had Viper text right across the top here. They're coil covers, and we machined off the Viper text. I designed on the computer the Plymouth text. We 3D printed it in aluminum and drilled holes, TIG welded it from the backside. So it has the same kind of look as the Viper thing, but it says Plymouth, and then instead of being on top, it's more on the side so that when the hood is closed that you can see it. Yeah. So this is probably a good time to talk about the exhaust.
Yeah, I was looking forward to this part, dude. That's just...
If you kind of look down here at this spaghetti of headers, this side of the exhaust is quite a bit longer than that side of the exhaust. And most of that is in the headers, the primary tubes. It's pretty straight through on the other side.
Yeah, radically different actually if you take the time to look.
Each bank is equal length, but the left bank is quite a bit longer than the right side. And I think I can't remember now, I think it's 11 inches or 13 inches that this bank is longer. Viper's a really cool engine, and a lot of people who don't like Vipers then complain about the sound.
Yeah.
And we wanted to see if we could change the sound in a way to make it sound more flat plane, more exotic. The reason the Vipers sound weird is the crankshaft rotates 90 degrees and fires a cylinder, and then rotates 54 and fires a cylinder. And then goes back, 90, 54, 90, 54. So there's like this echo, but up. So it's a little bit more like a Harley Davidson times 5. The left bank fires right after the right bank. But then if we make those pipes longer on the left bank, then by the time the sound gets to your ear, it will have taken longer to get there. So we're just stalling it, right? And we're trying to build in a delay so that instead of but up, it's more like up.
Right.
So even firing. The
mad
downside,
scientist, dude. You are a mad scientist, brother.
we spent a lot of time working on the math. We can adjust this, but only at a specific RPM. To do it right, you would have to make the exhaust work like a trombone. At lower RPMs, you need it to be longer. And at higher RPMs, you need it to be shorter. If you had a dynamic length exhaust, you could actually make it sound correct.
All the way through
the RPM range. But that's a little too much for us.
Maybe on the next car.
Maybe on the next one. What we decided on was like basically 3,500 RPM. Right about the time that you're normally shifting it. This car sounds like it's 7,000 RPM or 6,000 RPM.
Yeah.
At idle though, it sounds low RPM, sounds a lot more like a Viper. And really at the rev limiter, it's starting to sound more like a Viper again. So it sort of comes in and out of that thing. I would say that we were semi-successful with it.
And then coming out into these side exits.
Yeah, Vipers don't need large exhaust pipes. They are effectively a flat plane crank, so they're always taking turns, left, right, left, right, left, right. So all the exhaust comes into the collector and has time to scavenge out. In a normal muscle car, the left bank will fire twice in a row and then alternate. So you get those exhaust pulses that get crammed into the same pipe. The car's big and so wide and stuff that we wanted the pipes to look really big. So this is a 4-inch pipe, but inside the muffler is a 3.5 inch. So Magnaflow made these for us. So inside of that pipe, it tapers down to go through the muffler, and then it tapers back out for the tailpipe. It's kind of a pretty trick thing, and it's cool to work with Richard, and they were able to build this custom set of mufflers for us.
Yeah. Also the side skirt coming underneath there it almost hides away until you see the aero element to it.
The car is fully belly panned. We needed a structure to bolt the fenders to. So the skirt's aluminum, so it's fairly rigid. And when you tie it to the carbon fenders, the whole assembly gets rigid. If you take the skirt off, it's more flimsy. If you take the fender off, it's flimsy. But when you bolt it all together, it's all quite rigid.
Yeah.
Fun little detail here was that, and this is again Andreas, was like, I want to kind of show the Viper reference in the front fender. So where the exhaust comes through, this scoop is kind of reminiscent of the Gen 1 Vipers. These are also ceramic coated with the high temp ceramics. The headers are coated inside and outside, and the inside cuts down by like another 30%, the temperatures. If we're just normal street driving, you can get out and just hold your hand on it, and it's fine.
Really?
Yeah.
Is this original also?
Yeah, so this is the door hardware. Some of the stuff, so like this piece here, these were destroyed. The holes inside of the posts were jacked. And so we had to rebuild inside of the doors and then make these custom. They're exactly the same as factories, but we had to remake them. All the trim around the windows. So this is original paint, also just clear coated it. The whole car's belly panned, and the smooth belly comes to this diffuser on the rear. So we had to build the fuel cell and stuff, everything up high enough to where we could have a big rear diffuser.
What's exposed here is a fraction of what's actually underneath.
Yeah, this piece is probably 5 or 6 feet long underneath the car.
When you see it just sitting there on the ground, you're like, it's not gonna look right on this car, you know, and it just couldn't look more perfect the way it's actually done. I mean, it's...
The back of the car is a really good sort of showcase for the problems that we had to solve. Number one was this car only had one taillight. That taillight was mounted on a stock. It looked just like this, but it was over here on the fender. And this was a gas filler. So the gas tank neck came up through there. We had 2 problems. We needed a place to put the brake light, and we had a hole here that we needed to fill that we didn't want to just weld in metal and ruin all the paint around it and then have to fake patina just this section or whatever, right?
Yeah.
I rebuilt this stock and changed the base of it to match the curvature of the trunk instead of the curvature of the fender. And then this is the original taillight, the original lens. So the only thing that's really different is between here and here was just a vertical metal plate that held the license plate. This piece here that says Ruffian was a clear lens, and it would shine light onto the license plate. That thing was flimsy. I mean, that was one of the things, 35 miles an hour. And I was like, well, that's gonna fold over immediately the first time we test drive it. So then I needed a solution for license plate. This is where the spare tire was mounted. So there were huge holes right here. We put the license plate here, and we inset it a little bit because we cut that metal away because it was holes, and it had at some point been torn off or something. It was kind of really rough. We did this carbon insert and then put the license plate there. And then we needed a light for the license plate, but I didn't want to put another hole, you know, in the body or whatever and detract from that. So this is like a license plate light off of like a Ford F-150. It goes on the bumper and shines the light. So we put it on the diffuser as well. And then if you were to look under, there's another light under here, and this is all shaped in the carbon. This is the reverse lights under the diffuser, and that thing's super, super bright.
Yeah.
Just one note on this, Speakeasy Originals is the website and the business name. I met them at a car show. They do jewelry. Talking to him, I was like, hey, I need this piece made. It would be cool if you could make it, you know? So he built it in 3D printed it, then made a mold, and then cast it in bronze. And then we just let it patina. There's no clear on it or anything. We just let it be, and it kind of matches now the age.
Right, dude.
It's really fun, and I love. It's one of my favorite things is to collaborate with other artists and get their work on our car. I think it's just a really fun thing. So then spare tire, it had a metal cover over it, and then it had the hubcap mounted on the cover. There was this image, this tire wheel shape with the hubcap. Then we had to move the radiator to the back because we didn't have room in the front. So we figured if drift cars can have a radiator in the back, then we can too. So we moved the radiator back here, and Andreas was like, we should make it look like the spare tire back there. And I was like, we should use the fucking hubcap. That's the actual hubcap that was on the spare. So it's original. It's the most patinaed one because it was angled out here and in the weather and stuff. So all the little dents, that scratch might have been on there 60 years, you know?
Right.
Will worked on this shroud and the mounting and stuff for this, but the hubcap just snaps in over some springs.
It looks cool, but I know there's function to this, right? This piece here.
It's sort of the gurney flap effect where air comes over this, and then when it comes off of it, the idea is that it creates a low pressure area behind it, and it just helps suck the air through the radiator here.
Got it.
So we've got an electric fan here that's as high a CFM as we could get. The radiator is leaned this way, which means that you're going to naturally get convection. So it's going to create heat, and the heat's going to rise by itself, and when it rises, it pulls cold air from underneath it. And then we've also got a couple ducts, NACA ducts, on the underside of the splitter, which are connected to tubes and have really high CFM fans. So we've got pusher fans, and we've got a puller fan, and then we've got the convection effect. This cooling system is handled with an inline electric water pump. In the engine, we took out the thermostat and we took out the water pump blades that are inside the water pump there. That electric pump now handles the job of the thermostat and the water pump. So basically, we monitor the temperature. When it gets up to, I think it's 190, we kick on the pump. And then once it gets down to 180, we turn off the pump. All done automatically through the PDM. I can open this up. And you can see just a full nice shroud there. We had to get it up because we wanted this hubcap to be there. We had to get this up into that space.
Yeah.
This carbon is actually supporting the fan and the hubcap in there. But then you can see the fuel cell below.
How many gallons?
This is only 16, and it's actually less than that because we've got a A1000 air motive pump in there, which is huge. Inside of this isn't full of foam, and it doesn't have baffles. It just has the Holley hydromat. Penske shocks all the way around with remote reservoirs. Penske worked with us, so they had the weight balance and everything, so they recommended what the valving should be and all of that kind of stuff. So
where's the battery?
It's way down in there.
Oh, wow.
So there's an access panel behind the seat.
Of course there is, yeah.
And then you can get in there. It is a anti-gravity battery, so if you were to run it low, you hit the reset button on the fob and you've got reserve power. You can fire it back up. We also have these jump ports here. We actually did have an alternator fail when we were in Rhode Island. The car died and we were in the Galaxy, and it also has jump terminals. And then we just connected those jump terminals to these jump terminals, and we let the Galaxy recharge the Plymouth, and then we drove it back to the shop.
Now that had to be a sight to see.
Yeah.
See the Galaxy charging this.
It was pretty funny.
Did you have to make these?
It's funny, these are just NASCAR hood hinges.
Oh.
So they're just billet aluminum, really simple. We had them Cerakoted. Dave at SoCal Cerakote did them for us.
Yeah.
A lot of the stuff in here is, if it's not painted, it's Cerakoted. David did all that stuff. Same thing, this is a new latch that Skylar made, but this is original hardware here.
And same, this is original?
Yeah. The car actually had the wrong piece in here. It was a door handle, and so I got on eBay and got another one. It's original, it wasn't original to this car.
Yes, I got you.
Oh, you can kind of see on the back, like, this is the gusseting work. So normally this would have had metal all the way across here, but we had to cut it out to get the radiator in there. But then you can't leave it open because it would be too flimsy. You have to sort of box it in. So these pieces are new. This patina that's on here is fake. But if we would have welded these to the trunk, it would have burned all the paint on top. These pieces are welded on the corners here, and then it's bonded with panel bonder, 3M panel bonder to the deck lid there.
Wow.
Same thing, underneath this license plate, the metal piece that we made for that is bonded to the body.
For
under
the same
here,
reason, so that you're not going to burn the paint from
under here too, this is boxed in, and you can feel it's solid. It's not like an open hole. The whole bottom of the car, whole bottom of the car, we had to cut 6 inches off the back of the car and box it in, but this is bonded in as well. You know, we went to kind of a lot of effort to try to not force ourselves to redo and repaint the patina. Like, I just love like all the, this is where a lead seam is and it's cracking, you know, and so I like all that stuff. It's all character.
Yeah, totally. All right, let's go inside and take a look here. God, these seats. are epic, dude. Do you know how long I've been waiting to sit in this car?
Oh, no, I didn't realize. I kind of forgot that you haven't.
I've purposely never sat in here so I could get this experience while the cameras are going.
So it's different.
I'm so blown away by this.
It's different,
I'm
right?
like literally getting emotional, dude, but I'm so blown away by this car. Sorry, guys. But it really just, I'm so floored by what you guys created with this one, dude. And to sit in here for the first time, like, wow, this is just, phew.
It's neat. The seats or the floor is high because these cars are so tall that in order to see over everything, you know, the floor is 8 inches from the belly pan, and then the seats, there's a bunch of room under the seats. These seat brackets, we're on quite tall.
I can see from looking under yours.
Quite tall risers.
What were these from again? Are these a McLaren seat?
So these are Senna seats, carbon, auto addiction OC, handled the paint stuff, and then they also do upholstery work in-house, and so they did the upholstery for us.
And the number 3, so this is technically the 3rd Ruffian car?
It's the 3rd real Ruffian car.
Like the full team working on cars
exactly.
together. Yes.
Yeah, as a business. So then chassis tag here as well as car number 3. What's cool is that Jake built shifters for every one of our cars, but this is the first one that he built for us while he worked here.
Oh, what?
Again, he likes to use materials that they use for knife making, and this is carbon with gold in it, resin, and then it makes like a cool pattern and stuff on it. And then the first versions that we made, this brass plate, was just a cutout. In driving it and getting a little aggressive with it, we actually bent the first one.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So then we did this brass insert to strengthen it, but also using brass just to kind of tie into sort of the old vintage and stuff. Yeah. And same like this boot, this is a new material, but I told Jamie made this boot, she's my girlfriend.
Yeah.
And I told her that I wanted something like burlap. Like
I was just gonna say, dude, it looks like an old potato sack.
Yeah. Which I just love. What's cool is if you look up, this chicken wire up here is original. This insulation that's coming down is original. This wood is all original.
Oh my God.
So the cool thing, you see this wire coming to here?
Yeah.
That's the radio antenna. So it had a radio here on the passenger side, and the wire made its way all the way up here and connected to this chicken wire to get a signal.
Does this crank the front window open?
It does. We kept all of that stuff.
Oh, dude,
to get your fresh air. Which I have yet to open it up while I'm driving with it, but I imagine at 100 miles an hour, that would be quite a blast.
Yeah. I love that you colored the cage in the manner you did to kind of, it kind of hides away a bit in here.
Yeah, you know? So it
blends with the flavors of the wood, it just blends well.
I wanted to not match the dash because I didn't want it to hide that much. I wanted it to be a layer in front of and on top of the dash, right? So the dash is kind of a dark brown. Then we went with this mocha for the cage, then the transmission tunnel, the interior bits, all this stuff all the way back here. You see there's a full fire suppression system. That's the fire tank there. A little nook we built in the back. These back panels are riveted on because those are aluminum back panels just to kind of keep the weight down. This cover here is aluminum. The upper control arm off of the rear axle comes all the way to here. They're like 4 feet long.
Jeez,
and there's the side ones go, you can't see them because it's got carpet on it. Yeah. But they come all the way forward as well. Original ashtray. And Jamie, this is funny. So when we took the car apart, we found marbles in the door. And those are the original marbles, probably from the 30s.
Oh, come on, you see that, dude?
And so I had Jamie line the ashtray with felt, and then we just...
So you don't hear him tinkling around the whole time.
And we just keep the marbles in there.
Yeah.
And then the glove box, we just lined with the same shifter stuff.
Yep.
But that's all original stuff. I did retrofit the speedometer with a Speed Hut electronics. So there's a little digital screen in there. But this is the original speedometer, the original gauges. None of these work, and the speedometer does work on GPS. You see this hole right here? That was where this courtesy light was, complete with the cracked lenses, So
that's still the original one, just relocated to here.
Yeah, we had to move it because we wanted this bar to be as close to the roof as possible. This is a tight fit, so quick release steering wheel. But then you can see, like, we really, for controls, we have a key, ignition key here, the shifter, and then we've got all the data on here. I can see when the electric water pump kicks on. We've got a transmission pump, your headlights, turn signals, temps, what gear you're in, how many miles, all that stuff's available here, this AIM. The rear sway bar, the end links slide and can be push-pulled with cables. And that's what this is. So right now the rear sway bar's in full soft. So if I pull this down and push it to there, we're in like medium. So it's moving the end links. So normally you'd have adjustable sway bar would just have holes, and then you would have to take a bolt out and put a bolt back in to move the hole to change the stiffness.
You do it that easy. You adjust.
Yeah.
Unbelievable.
So
man.
We do have the original lever in the display case over there from the race car, but we wanted to make a new one out of aluminum, and Jake made the knob to match this, and it still has the brass insert. Kind of a cool touch from the race car that we kept.
Boy, seriously, man. And you, of course, I know you, but you did one of your trick keys, didn't you?
Same key, it's just serialized as 003.
Yeah.
That little lock on the end there is oil from the race engine that we got with this car. Just as a little like reminder of, you know, what
where it came
was.
from. Yeah.
Yeah. We've got little tiny lights in the rear window that you might have seen. These are like motorcycle lights. They work as brake lights, and then they also work as turn signals.
So turn signals actually become functional because the one tail light doesn't have them.
Yeah.
Is there a lever or is there a button to activate turn signals?
It is up here.
Ah, got it.
Yeah.
What's this button here?
We had a scenario where we were killing ECUs. We went through 3 ECUs before we figured out what was happening. And basically the solid state battery isolator switch, if it detects a fault of any sort, it will just disconnect all power to the ECU and everything else, right? In case of an emergency. Well, the problem is with Mopar ECUs, they like to save before they shut down. But if you just cut power to them instantly and they don't have time to save the data and shut down, then they get into this funky state and you can't boot them back up. We had a loose battery terminal, for example. It tripped the solid state relay switch at a gas station and put that ECU in a bad state, and we were stranded and we had to get flatbedded home. We had to get a new ECU from Prefix before we could run it again. We have fuses, we have safety measures. Modern cars don't use these. Like, it's just a cool race car thing. We don't need it. We eliminated it out of the harness, but it's still, the switch is still here, but it doesn't do anything now.
Yeah, gotcha. I'm assuming you've also handmade these so that you have visors?
The bracketry is from ATV stuff, but then by the time we get done, we've hand cut the visor and the mounts and done it all. I like everything to have to work and to be streetable, so I gotta keep the sun out of my eyes, and the windshield wiper works, and that legit, it had one windshield wiper there, and we just used the same hole and we just put a new like little modern hot rod windshield wiper in there, and it's fine.
All right, brother, well, let's go drive and we'll talk more while we cruise, but
yeah, rad.
Wow, Chris, just every car you guys have built notches up. This just went psychotic. Well, that's a really short throw on the shift, huh?
Yeah.
Wow, dude, what a unique sound this car makes. Like, I hear Viper in it for sure.
Yeah, yeah.
But then I also like, there's almost like a JDM element to it. Like, you know what I mean?
I do.
Is that right?
I do, yeah. I agree.
It's definitely not a quiet one. Wow, it's crazy. That's street compound brake pads.
Yeah. They're doing their thing.
Yeah. You must have done a manual brake setup, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, no room for any boost or anything.
Yeah.
It just seems like that's what we always wind up doing. Typically, we just call Willwood and we give them the size of the brake pistons and stuff. And so far, they haven't steered us wrong. You know,
Sure.
it's been great.
Is it manual steering as well?
It's a power steering rack.
Oh, it is, okay.
Rack and pinion. Race car. So even with the slicks, like 335s up front.
Yeah. Well, yeah.
Yeah. But there's a ton of feedback through it. It's a sweet rack.
Yeah.
This car is one turn lock to lock.
I noticed how little you're turning it.
Yeah. There's no body roll at all.
Gotta be loving having it to the point where you can street drive it finally.
It's still pretty fresh. I mean, we've got 208 miles on it now.
Wow, yeah. I mean, everything you guys create echoes what I'm about to say, but this has to look like a total freak of nature going down the road.
Yeah. First time on the highway.
This is your first time on the highway. Wow,
Yeah.
man. It actually feels really good. It doesn't feel overly stiff. The shock package feels great. How long was the process, Chris, from the time you guys dug in and started to build this to where you are now? How long?
14 months.
It's fast.
15. Yeah,
That's
I mean,
fast.
first time we drove it was 8 months in. It was painted and reassembled, and we were driving it 8 months. With all the race car parts, the ECUs and stuff like that.
Sure.
And then we couldn't get, it took so long to get wheels the right offset to get street tires, to where we just felt like if we drove it on those slicks, we were just putting too much at risk.
Yeah, totally.
Like I said, I drove it twice, Skylar drove it once, and this is my third time driving it. So
Wow, man. Wow.
with any distance at all.
What will this thing rev up to?
I believe it's like 6,400,
Okay.
but if you ever hear a Viper at like 6,400, it doesn't sound like 6,400.
I mean, this one already, just like as you started to get on the freeway, you know,
Yeah.
it sounds like you're way up in the RPMs.
It's
There's
deceiving because I'm also used to listening for 8 cylinders and gauging the RPMs off of that. So then when I drive this, I'm kind of waiting to bounce off the rev limiter, and I look down and it's like what I'm picking up in the ears is not matching
Yeah.
on the screen.
yeah.
So that's like $4,000.
God, what a unique sound this thing makes. Those little burbles and pops on the
Yeah,
decel.
that's fun, huh?
I mean, even in this kind of shit zone we're in, it's just fun being in this car, man. I mean, it's got to be for you. I'm sure, knowing you, you're probably listening to everything, watching everything.
It's not as bad. Like the freeway was that, right? Because I've never been on the freeway. But around town, we've got 200 miles on the car.
So you know
it's
you're
all
good.
around town. So I feel good around town. But it's fun to be in this and how radical this is compared to the traffic that's around us, right? It's like we're on another planet, you know?
Seriously, dude. We are total aliens right now. I mean, it's so funny, out of the corner of my eye watching you shift, it's like you barely move into
I think
the next
that's why
gear.
we bent the first shifters, because we were trying to find reverse and we were already there, you know?
Yeah,
But
you're
we were like,
over-shifting.
Yeah, surely you don't have to move it. Like, you got to move it more, right? It's like, no.
Right. I forgot, what What transmission is it?
TR66.
Oh, it is. Okay.
It's just a Viper transmission, but CTEK Performance rebuilt it for us.
Yeah. I forgot to ask before when you're geared out at the rear end.
350 to 1. The race car had 411s, but it was basically a spool in the rear end, and we couldn't maneuver the car around parking lots. It was so it would push the front end. The whole front end would go left and right as it like broke loose and stuff.
Yeah.
It was a mess. So we put a new differential third member in there. It's like a Torsen, just a normal street, like Torsen differential. But Prefix said on their Vipers, like for the quarter mile, the engines make so much torque. They run like 327 to 1.
Wow, man.
Sort of the Jekyll and Hyde, right? Like,
gosh,
it turns into a beast.
But I really felt it gripping. Like it's
so. I don't really know what it is, but of all of our cars, it's putting the power down better.
It feels like it. I mean that little rip right now.
Yeah, you would expect it to break loose, but so far it just holds really good.
Yeah. It's so fun to feel how this car moves, dude. No body roll, but it's not like that kind of stiff where you're getting just jarred in here at all.
Yeah. No, it's pretty good.
It is. I mean, we're hitting all the normal bumps of a street, and it's not brutal. But boy, the slightest acceleration, you just feel it. It just grips and rips. Oh my God. Wow, bro. Wow. Holy cow. Boy, that right-hand turn, just like a race car.
Yeah.
That's so impressive, dude. Wow, what a car, brother. Holy man.
Yeah, I'm surprised at how well it hooks.
It just grips like crazy. And you got your sway bar in the softest setting, right?
Yeah. Yeah, I just don't know where it should be. If we get it too stiff in the rear, then you'll get oversteer.
Right.
So I figured start soft.
Right. Fucking rips, dude. Right?
Yeah.
gladly drive this car.
You should.
Oh my God.
That would be fun.
You make me fucking cry again over here.
Well, I second it, just grip.
It's crazy, man. Nothing like this car I've ever been in. There's nothing,
Right?
There's nothing to reference it to, you know? From there, I don't know. From over here, it feels very different. Other than, it reminds me of being in a race car.
Yeah.
I mean, it just looks like a freak of nature. It's like the getaway car Bonnie and Clyde wish they had.
I know. It's a little tighter in here,
Yeah,
isn't it?
it's tight.
Yeah.
Boy, your left foot really, it's right against the firewall, or the sidewall.
So tiny. The front of the car is so narrow, and then we
Yeah.
added a cage on both sides.
Yeah. Wow. Yeah, that's such a short little throw, man. God, I can't tell you how much I love manual brakes when they're right. The feel of them, you know, how much touch there is on them.
Yeah.
Wow, I can't believe oh my God. I can't believe I'm driving this freaking car right now, bro. It wants to center back to third, fourth. Boy, you just barely turn the steering wheel.
Yeah.
I mean, man. 80 miles an hour, 3,000 RPMs. Wow. Like, you know, I gave it that much, but I can feel that if I put my foot down, you don't even have to downshift. There's so much torque. Just wild, Chris. For any of you guys that have watched the channel long enough, you know what a massive fan I am of Chris Ashton and his team at Ruffian Cars. I wish I had the words to express what a special car this is. And I can't believe, at the same time, I guess I can believe at the end that Chris said, you need to drive this car. I genuinely hope you guys enjoyed this one. It's been a big one for us today, man. I'll leave it at that and say, as always, huge thanks for hanging and watching, and I'll see you in the next one, man. Later.